The Baltimore Ravens can absolutely win this weekend against the Buffalo Bills. Here's how. Let's talk Ravens with Yolanda. Today's video, we are going to discuss each player that makes up the offensive line. Good evening, Ravens flock. I hope everyone is doing well. I want to start by saying I hope everyone who is in the path of the storm, please make sure you stay safe and take care of yourselves. My family, we are all from Florida, and, check on your people. If you have family down in Florida or anywhere in the storm's path, please check on them, make sure they're safe. I just want to also start by saying thank you to everyone who has helped me grow this channel. We are continuing to see growth on this channel and the platform. So thank you, a huge thank you all to you. But let's go ahead now and discuss this game. A lot of implications are, connected to this game. This is a very big game for us as Ravens fans. I do think that we can win the game, but it's going to take a Herculean effort. And I see you, Rave Kingdom. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I want to just start by saying Sunday night at the bank, prime time, the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens take on the 3-0 Buffalo Bills. The Baltimore Ravens we have our hands full. That's not to say we can't get the job done. Now, this is a big test for us for us Ravens, for sure. But there is a formula for us to be successful. And I'll start by saying that after 3 games, Lamar Jackson has 702 passing yards, 35 rush attempts for 254 rushing yards. This is where I think we can start to see how we can take advantage of this Buffalo Bills team. And in comparison with Josh Allen, he has 634 passing yards, 85 rushing yards, and he has 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's been sacked twice. And Lamar, from him leading our team, we have 8 total touchdowns. He has 1 interception. Thanks to Rashad Bateman for that. But he's been sacked 3 times, and that's considering how much our offensive line has struggled thus far. And given that we've not really seen the greatest of offensive lines, Lamar still has been able to, for the most part, protect himself. So we're looking forward to more of that this upcoming weekend, unless John Harbaugh makes some changes at O-line, which who knows? Who knows if that will happen? Good evening, Hendo from the Rogue Pod is here. Thank you for joining. The Bills offense, with the numbers that I just gave you, with the numbers that Josh Allen has been able to put up this season, it's without question that the greatest strength for the Bills is their ability to pass the ball. He's been on fire. That offense, in terms of their passing yards, they have been rocking. And this is an advantage that they have over us. And we'll get into some stats. I'll show them to you in just a moment, but I just wanted to kind of dialogue first. And I hope my graphics work. I hope they work fine, but we'll have a look in a minute. And if they don't work, I'll just read them out to you. But for us, interestingly enough, this is our greatest challenge on defense. The Bills offense, which they have been very efficient and effective in passing the ball all season, all 3 games. That for us is a huge struggle because we know that our secondary, and to a lesser extent, our linebackers, which should not be dropping into coverage, Roquan Smith and Malik Harrison to cover speedy wide receivers. But we know that our weakness so far on our defense has been covering the middle of the field and the deep zone, which is where the Bills thrive. So we need to have an answer for that. But in terms of interceptions, I think I mentioned Lamar has 1. Josh has 0. Here's where I think we really start to get into the first key of how we can win. Josh Allen, prior to this season, was what some people call a turnover machine. Some people call him, he was guaranteed to give you at least 1 turnover here and there. Excuse me, but he's not been that this season. So what does that mean for us? It means that our defensive line has to continue to dominate. They have to be able to get pressure up the middle, cause Josh Allen to get uncomfortable, get him to be in a rush, get him to hurry. And we can hope that the Josh Allen that we've seen in years past, like I said, the turnover machine or the one who's making the mistakes, we're hoping that we can see that again now that he's faced with a defensive front that's going to cause extreme pressure and just make his night miserable. If we can continue to do that, I think, if our D-line, our interior D-line, Justin Madubuike, Travis Jones, if they can get after, and pressure the quarterback, and not to mention our edge rushers, we need a really big game, a very solid game from Odafe Owe, Kyle Van Noy. And yes, I think we just signed earlier this week. We brought back Yannick Ngakoue. I do not expect him to play this upcoming weekend. But what I think more important is the ones who have been established, David Ajabo. We need to see sack production this week from them. Because without that, we've seen in the last 3 weeks, Josh Allen hit the nail right on the head, money all the way down the field. We can't allow that. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we are down early and trying to claw and fight our way to come back. We need to go out, get a lead, establish that lead early. And like the overall theme that we've heard from Lamar Jackson all week, do not take the foot off the gas. Keep going. Todd Monken cannot get conservative in this game. He really can't. But let me just, I won't get on, don't have me bring up my little friend here. If I start going off on a tangent, I was supposed to start with the Bills offense and our defense, and I'll get to our offense in a moment. But we are noticing, and what we've seen, I thought was going to be a drop-off in production after Stephon Diggs left. I did. Offensively, I thought, they're going to take a step back. They haven't. They haven't missed a beat. So knowing that, and it's easy to decipher right now after 3 games what the Buffalo Bills' identity is on offense. They are a pass-first team. They're going to beat you in the air with their established and elite passing game. Now, we hope and wish we could say the same thing, that we knew what the offensive identity was for the Ravens. But, right now we don't really. The offensive identity, it's just kind of, it's in the air. It's a question mark. So what does that mean for us on defense? Again, it means the Bills, I think, and you can correct me in the chat, I think they are number 1 in the league right now in points. I think they're leading the league in points. If not number 1, they're certainly number 2. They're right there. And they're scoring on almost every drive. For us, we have to keep Josh Allen and his friends and his BFFs that he's throwing the ball to. We need to keep all of them off the field. Limit the time of possession for them. And that's where our defense really has to take a step up this game, because we know that we were right there on the cusp of beating the Chiefs. We should have beaten the Raiders, but we didn't. And we barely edged out a win last week. So now is a time where 4 weeks into the season, we need to see an improvement. We need to see our edge rushers have a big day. And more importantly, our secondary must show up in a big way. We know that our secondary is struggling right now. We understand that. We've not seen top-notch production from our members of the secondary. That's not to say that Marlon Humphrey isn't having a good game. It's not to say that Brandon Stevens is not being active. Yes, because we've seen several pass breakups. There's been good plays here and there. Nate Wiggins, he's been okay. Sands getting beat last week in coverage. He had no business on CeeDee Lamb, but multiple times over. But my point is, we're going to need that secondary to be, number one, utilized correctly. That starts from putting Kyle in the box more. And that also means making sure that we do not have the miscommunications that we've been seeing heretofore. Making sure that our players are not leaving so much space, open space, in between their receiver who they're covering. They've got to be able to cover tightly to make sure that these passes that are coming from Josh Allen do not end up making those being connections for them. We certainly do not want to see that. That can't happen, because last week, somebody put it in the chat for me real quick. What was the score from the Buffalo Bills and the Jaguars? I know it was 40 something. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 44. And you can leave it in the chat if you have that number. But more, that's what I'm saying. We know and we see that Josh Allen is able, hands down, to connect with his receivers. And we're going to be able to we're going to need to have an answer for all of them. From, our secondary has to respond to Matt Collins, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. I think this time I would like to see the matchup of rookie on rookie. If we want to put Keon Coleman and match him up with Nate Wiggins, I think that's hopefully would be a better match. But I don't know, because Keon Coleman is much taller, and so he's got the length. I know that Nate Wiggins has the speed. We'll see. We'll see if that happens, if they match them up there. That would be one that I would be looking forward to seeing. But we need Kyle Hamilton. He's not been what we saw and perhaps got a little bit spoiled in seeing last year from Kyle. That just, that game wrecker, that game changer for us. We need him. We need that Kyle back this week, because he's going to be key in covering, Dalton Kincaid. And if we don't really have an answer, because Josh Allen has too many weapons right now, and he's connecting with all of them. And so if we are not prepared going into that game to shut them down early, not, we were asleep, we were on vacation, we were just playing around the first quarter or two, but now it's the halftime. We don't want to find ourselves in that situation. We've already lost the first home opener at the bank. We don't need to lose a second game here. I want to say hello. I see the Hawk TV. I see my mom is here. Thank you for joining. And I see Nisha C. Thank you for being here. Jared Green, Tim Hughes. I see Brandon Bazell. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Jay the Six, Rod Wave. Thank you so much for joining. Listen, another thing that we need, I think I might have mentioned it earlier, better communication. I don't know why we are having the communication blunders still after week 3. And it might just be something where Zach Orr is still trying to figure it out. And again, I know that I've said this, that I'm giving him a little bit of, room, a little bit of grace right now, because I'm trying to put it in proper perspective. We had to do the same thing with Mike McDonald. But the difference here, and I said it last week, I'll say it again, the difference here is that Mike McDonald was the one where we had to do all the experiments. We had to figure out what worked. He took over from Wink, and it was like he revamped and revised and just remodeled the defense. And he got it to what it was. It took time, but he got it there. He got us there. So now the learning curve for Zach Orr, in my opinion, should not be as steep for him as it was for Mike McDonald, because ideally we're turning over the keys to what was one of the best defenses in the league last year. And for us to be, in terms of our secondary, the bottom of the league right now, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. But our run defense is one of the best in the league. I don't anticipate the Buffalo Bills to try to run the ball often. I think they understand that they're going to be successful against us by challenging our secondary, by challenging our linebackers. And if our middle of the field is not fully covered and protected well, they have the advantage. That brings me to Roquan Smith. He's not had that game to where we say, this is it. We're starting to see Roquan come back. Hi, John Parsons. Thank you for joining. Yes, if you are here and you're enjoying the show, if you could do me a huge favor, take 1 second, hit the like button. It really helps the channel a lot. If you're watching this on replay and you are new, or if you're watching live and you're new, welcome. Please subscribe, join the family, turn on your post notifications so that you don't miss any content on this channel. But going back to Roquan Smith, Jay the Six says, Roquan versus Kincaid, I just don't know. I don't know. I think Hamilton needs to be matched up against Kincaid. Roquan, he seems slower this year, and he just doesn't seem as dominant and as aggressive as he was last year. It could just be me, but that's just what I'm seeing. And that fear factor that he carried with him, that to where teams knew when you step on the field and you are going against these Baltimore Ravens, this defense, it's going to be a long night for you. It's going to be a long day. I don't get that sense right now. So in order for us to match up squarely with the Bills, we're going to need that leader of the defense, a huge contribution from him. Trenton Simpson, second year. We're asking him to do a lot. And for the most part, he is. He should be our third down backer. He really should. But Harrison, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Malik Harrison? 3 games. What are your thoughts of him? He's not been great and certainly does not need to drop him into coverage. But I think where we can use him is in third down, obvious run situations. That's where I think we can use, third and short, something like that. We can use Malik Harrison. Outside of that, no. Rod Wave says, Roquan is good in the run, but not so much in the pass. It's precisely right. Roquan is not he's a run-stuffing linebacker. He and Malik Harrison. Neither of those need to drop into coverage. Neither of them. Certainly not with the likes of this high-powered offense in terms of their speedy wide receivers. It just doesn't need to happen. It'll be a long day for us, for sure. But, we're going to need Roquan. We're going to need Trenton Simpson. We're even going to need Malik Harrison out there matched up against the running backs, James Cook, Ty Johnson, and the tight ends, Dalton Kincaid. I think the better matchup against Dalton would be Kyle Hamilton. That's what I think the best matchup is. But still, in all, Roquan needs to be out there at some point, matched up with Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and they even have, fullback Reggie Gillum. We're going to need to have an answer. And that answer is these players have been coached up for whatever the blunders were. We are now coached up enough to at least, I'm not going to say stop them, but what I will say is we're coached up enough to where we can at least slow them down. How they were able to just advance the ball down the field with ease, make those connections, not really worry about coverage, and just make the deep ball and those chunk plays. We need to be able to identify that early because we know that that's what they're going to do. That's how they're winning games, scoring all of these points just that way. Jamil309 says he's serviceable. He's serviceable. Malik Harrison, he is. I don't think he's a starter, but put him in there in certain situations, and I think he'll do okay. Rod Wave asks, does the defense need Patrick Queen? If you were to have asked me that a month ago, prior to the start of the season, I would have said unequivocally no. I think we're in great hands with Trenton Simpson. I think he's okay. And to some degree, I still want to hold fast to that response. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time for Trenton Simpson to be that, because I do think Trenton Simpson is a better cover back than Patrick Queen. I think he's better in coverage. So it might not be that we see what we want to see right away, but what we are seeing from Trenton is that when he is called to, when he's called to stop the run, he is able to do it. When he's called to defend against the pass, out of all of our linebackers, he's the one that can get it done. So would it have been nice to keep Patrick Queen? Sure. I would have liked that, but we didn't. And we have to figure out a way to make our team successful with the personnel that we have. That is on, hands down, 100% on this coaching staff. And we're going to hold them accountable. Moving on to the Ravens offense. The Ravens offense, they must stay on the field. We have to, no matter what, we have to make sure that the message is sent that we are dictating this game, the pace, the speed of the game. We're dominating the play clock, and we are not just going three and out, and sending our defense right back on the field for them to be tired, exhausted, worn out. Meanwhile, we're unable to score points that way. Because if we go three and out, every time we put Josh Allen back on the field with his weapons and how they've been connecting, it's going to be very ugly. So this is the clear message that, as I mentioned earlier, that Lamar has sent to John Harbaugh and the coaches alike this week. The message is, no matter what, let's keep scoring points. Don't change up the play call. Don't get cute. Don't get conservative. We don't have that type of luxury, especially when we know putting our defense back on the field if they're exhausted late in the game, and even if they're not exhausted to a lesser degree, we know that they're struggling. It's clear. As a defensive unit, sans the, defensive line, they're not doing the greatest right now. And I mean, that's putting it very mildly for us to be at the very bottom in terms of defending against the pass. So knowing that, Lamar is absolutely right. Keep the offense on the field. Dial up plays that can get us to score points. We've got to be able to convert, and we have to be able to score those points. We can't just gain a lot of yards, whether it's passing or whether it's rushing. We're leading. If I go back to my numbers again, we have as a team for Lamar in his passing yards, 702 passing yards after 3 games, whereas Josh Allen has 634. So why is it that we have more passing yards than Josh Allen, but he has more points than we do? These are the types of things that John Harbaugh, Todd Monken, and everyone else on that coaching staff, especially for the offense, need to be considering and looking into. Because we can move the ball down the field, we can pass the ball, we're getting the yards, but it means nothing if you can't get points. If you can't score points at the end of this game, this upcoming game, it's not going to be a good look for us. I see Tanja. Thank you so much for being here. Good evening to you. Yes, and she said, good for Lamar. Absolutely. Absolutely good for Lamar, because it needs to be said. We can't go up against these teams and play cute and fancy and then say, oh, well, we're winning. We have a 22-point lead going into the fourth quarter. We saw what happened with that. One thing I'll also add, I should have said with the defense must protect the leads that the offense gives them. If Lamar and the offense are able to give you a lead, defense, it's on you to protect it. No more of this squandering leads. That's not going to work against the Buffalo Bills because we already know they're able to score points. So in terms of our offense, we need to keep the playmakers on the field when they are productive. Last game, we did not see a lot of Rashad Bateman, nor did we see a lot of Zay Flowers. We're going to need Zay Flowers more than just 2 or 3 catches. Because, and obviously, we're going to certainly need Derrick Henry. The Ravens, we're not going to win this game if we don't keep Derrick Henry on that field. I don't care what Harbaugh said about, we're not bringing him in to, that was not the plan for us to have him in for 30 touches per game or 30 carries per game. Out with that. Out with it. Keep Derrick Henry on the field. We need to see play action. We can do that now, and we can be successful when we're running play action now that we have Derrick Henry. We need to vary things up, change it up. Don't be so consistent and easily read by a defense where they're like, okay, if Justice Hill is on the field, I automatically know this is going to be a run. Or I automatically know what play is going to be dialed up just because of any given personnel. Hint, hint, wink, wink, play action. Now that we have Derrick Henry, it works. It works. I need to see, Rave Kingdom, this is for you. I need to see Ben Cleveland in the game more than just one snap. He played one snap last week against the Cowboys that set up the touchdown for Derrick Henry early in the game, and we didn't see him anymore after that. We didn't. So that is absolutely a must. For me, I need to see Ben Cleveland. Now, will it happen? I don't know. We'll get into the injuries a little bit in just a moment. It could happen just because we don't know what could happen with our offensive linemen, given some players are listed as questionable. It could mean that Harbaugh is now forced to put Ben Cleveland in the game, not by choice. But I see a few others have joined. I want to say hello. Good evening, D Weezy. Thank you for being here. Ravens have been bad against tight ends, at least 6 receptions and 70 yards every game so far. I know. That's why I said earlier, D Weezy, you're right. We need Kyle Hamilton. We need Roquan Smith to be able to have the game of their lives. We need to see how they played last year and bring that back for this game, because these tight ends over in the Buffalo Bills, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to absolutely be a challenge. And we've not been looking very good rising up to the occasion. Good evening, Denise. Thank you so much. Sean Coles, thank you for being here. Thank you. But Joey, thank you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. It's one of those things where we need to make sure that we slow the pace down, control the time of possession, control the tempo, go at our pace. Don't panic. Don't get scared. Stay calm. You've got it. That's my message to the Ravens. Trust your preparation. Trust your instincts. You've got it. Remember who you were last year. It wasn't that far off. Now, another thing, if it's 3rd and short, Henry must be on the field. But I don't know if we'll see Ben Cleveland. I'm not sure. Miss Fins, good evening. Thank you for being here. Yes, we are going to do our best to take care of your division rival for you this week. We're here to, figure out what formula we need to use in order to defeat the seemingly unstoppable Buffalo Bills. And I thought, as I said earlier, they would be the team to regress a bit with their with their subtractions of their roster. It's not been the case. But I will say, this is what I'm going to stand 10 toes down. If the Ravens are able to use the weapons that they have to their strengths, if the Ravens coaching staff is able to prepare them the way that Mike McDonald, especially on defense, was able to prepare the defense last year, if we are able to get the version or a similar version of Roquan, Kyle Hamilton, if we can get sack production this game from Odafe Owe and David Ojabo, I have no doubt in my mind that the Ravens are going to absolutely be the ones to come out with a victory this game. Let me move on real quick. Just like Sean Cole says, we got to play. We have to play what we have done so far, all these years that have gained us success. D. Weezy said, same, expected Bills to regress the preseason. I did too. I'm going to be, I always keep it 100% over here. I surely did not expect the Buffalo Bills to be 3-0. But then again, neither did I expect the Pittsburgh Steelers. See, I'm going on a tangent. Where's my friend? Where is my friend? See what happens? I'm starting to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not even supposed to talk about that. Now I'm almost heading down a rabbit hole. So back to this upcoming matchup. The O-line, we have to be able to move the D-line and not get pushed back. Whoever the best players are, we need them on the field this upcoming week. We've got their D-line with Von Miller. They've got a solid pass rush with Greg Rousseau, Oliver, and Von Miller. Von Miller spoke very highly of Lamar, and I appreciated that. I did. But we need to be able to ensure that our offensive line is ready to go. Stand your ground, hold your own, and be ready. Don't get pushed around. Don't get bullied. Take care of business. And if Daniel Falele is not getting the job done, we need to see him taken out of the game because there's too much at stake in this one. So Charlie Kolar, he's been a great asset for us in terms of blocking. And the only why do we need to have an extra set of hands? Not just Charlie, but everybody else, Pat Ricard and whoever else is wearing a Baltimore Ravens jersey in the stands. Why do we need all those extra hands blocking? Well, it's probably because our offensive line hasn't been getting the job done, but I move on. Tight ends. We must see some higher level of contribution in our tight ends. Spread the ball around. Keep them guessing. Don't just rely solely on Derrick Henry and or Zay Flowers. Those can be your primary targets, absolutely. But we've got Isaiah Likely, who needs to definitely get involved and not just blocking. Andrews, it would be so nice if he could have more than just one catch or more than just two. Number one, to build up his confidence. Yeah, that would be great. But more importantly, this to me, in order to win this game, is all hands on deck. And if we can get contribution out of all of the guys, Bateman too, let's not leave him off. Let's not leave him off the list. That's right, my rabbit hole. Because I'll go off on a tangent. I was talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I wasn't supposed to talk about the Steelers, so my rabbit kind of reminds me to stay focused. But Todd Monken, this is a message for you. If you are watching, thank you. If the deep ball is not working against this Bills secondary, which they have a very good secondary, and if the deep ball is not working, take what the defense gives you. We have too many players that can make short and intermediate passes, that can receive those short and intermediate passes. And not just screens to, Zay every time, not just a bubble screen to Zay, but we have too many other options to keep the defense on their toes because we are so versatile that way. Don't just have Andrews sitting on the bench if he can contribute. Don't just have Isaiah Likely out there for blocking purposes if he can contribute. And we've seen it. We know it can be done. Good evening. I see Doc Rock is joining us. Thank you so much for being here. And Miss Finn says, and I'm going to take a few comments because we're almost near the end, but I really want to hear what she has to say because she's obviously, her team is the Dolphins and she's in that division. So let's see what she has to say. All righty. Let me pull up Miss Finn's comment. She said 1,000%. She says, if you guys let Likely cook in the end zone, extend plays with Lamar and go deep with Zay and make stops on defense, you'll be good. Yeah, I'm with you, Miss Vins. Everything except the make stops on defense. That's where we've been struggling. And I just covered the defense, but that's where we really need to improve. That's where we need to improve. And if we can get a version, more than a shell, if we can get more than a small sample size version of our team from last year in terms of our defense, we'll be okay. But that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Rafe Kingdom says, I'm afraid for Mark Andrews. I'm praying for Mark to come back, come to his old self. Yeah. I don't know if he's still not fully recovered from the injury. I don't know if it's, something could be lingering that we just really don't know about per se. But whatever it is, one thing we do know, two things for sure. He's not been the Mark Andrews that we're accustomed to. And I saw someone ask the other day, do you think we're going to trade Mark by the deadline? I got to give that one some thought. I have to think about it. But going back to the offense, and this next statement is what I hope doesn't have to happen, but honestly, I think it's going to need to happen. Lamar Jackson is going to have to play hero ball for us at some point. And that might be because our defense is not stacking up. They're not standing tall. And we need to have Lamar Jackson continue to add points because we know, obviously, the Bills are able to do that. So I think Lamar Jackson is going to have to play hero ball in this game, especially if some of the other players don't rise to the occasion. One other comment, and this is for both sides, offense and defense. Clean up the penalties. The penalties, we cannot have those mistakes. We cannot have those penalties. That's going to come back and hurt us big time. This is going to be a very competitive, very close game. I would even liken this to kind of how I feel when we're playing a division rival. When we play another AFC North opponent, okay, prior to this season, because the AFC North just doesn't look all that great with Joe Burrow and company 0-3. Prior to this season, when we got ready to play an AFC North opponent, a division rival, I was nervous because you just knew that the game would be physical. It would be intense. It would be just everything, right? I'm feeling that way about the Bills. Not to say that the Ravens can't take care of business, because they can. But the team with the least amount of penalties usually is going to be the one to win. So I'm looking for the penalties to be cleaned up. We need to be more aggressive. We have to. Going back to our defense real quick, don't miss your tackles. Stay close to your guy who you're covering. No miscommunication. And take care of the middle of the field. Protect it. Defend it. And even into the deep zone. Brings me to our final point here, special teams. This is very important, and it's not something that I thought we'd actually have to have a conversation about, and we have. We talked about it earlier in the week. But this game really could come down to a field goal. It could. And if it does, that means we need Justin Tucker. We can't afford to have Justin Tucker miss a field goal. And I love Justin Tucker. I usually give him a pass. I do, because of how consistent he has been for us all of these years. But I must say, at this point, we're going to need Justin. That's just it. He's got to be able to make a 50-yard field goal. He missed one from 46 last week. That can't happen. It certainly cannot. Not in this close of a game, what I expect to be a very close game. We need every point that we can get. Couple of injuries I'll note is for the Bills, Terrell Bernard, middle linebacker, I think he's out, and Taron Johnson, nickelback, those two are definitely out. I did see earlier where the injury report came out. I didn't have time to put the graphic up, but that's something else. I don't know. All right, last thing, coaches. They have to coach the game of their lives, starting with John Harbaugh, Todd Monken, and Zach Orr. The pressure is on them this game. That's it. That's the formula to win this game. We can do it. We certainly can. Now, before we go, if you could do me a favor, drop your score prediction for this upcoming game. Let me know in the chat who wins the game and what you think the score will be. And while you do that, I'm going to take a few comments. Aw, thank you so much. Yes, do what Miss Finch just asked you. Hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate it. We're going to get me to we're almost there at 1,000 subscribers. Yes, we're right there. Thank you so much. Do that for me. I would really, really appreciate it. Yes. D Weezy said, Henry has 0 presence in the pass game. 4 targets, 2 catches this season. Yeah, I don't expect, Derrick Henry to be a big factor in our passing game, but even if it's something, because at this point, DeWeezy, all hands on deck. No matter, obviously Derrick Henry is supposed to be our primary running back, and that's what we're supposed to use him for. But yes, Tanja, it's so tired of the screens to say, change it up, be creative. Think about how else we can use our weapons effectively. Let's just not keep running screens to Zay. That's too predictable. Little Joker, run King Henry. That's it. Ravens, it's not that difficult. We as fans see what the formula is. Clearly, you who are supposed to be experts and masters in this game, you can see that too, right? And Little Joker, listen, I don't know what you guys are doing over there. Little Joker has 2 purple teams. His number 1 team is the Minnesota Vikings. They are doing, wow, amazing, amazing. Hats off to your team, number 1. And thank you for also coming by and stopping by and showing the purple team number 2 some love. I appreciate it. Sean Cole said short passes to start and run the ball often. That's it. Run the ball often. Short passes. Lamar likes to chunk plays. We know he does. But if that's not working, because this secondary is really good. That Bills secondary is very good. DeMar Hamlin had an interception last week. So, speaking of interceptions, I'm going to get right back to your comment in 1 second. Speaking of interceptions, that's something that we have not seen on our defense. When are we going to see some? This game would be the perfect time to bring back Josh Allen, who used to make mistakes last season and the seasons before. Interception. This would be the perfect time to start to get the ball rolling in terms of our secondary making those getting those interceptions. And even Roquan Smith, hey, if you want to get out there too, Roquan, and get a pick 6, we'll take that too. Thank you so much. Big Reg, host of Big Boy Talk, thanks for being here. Good luck to the Ravens, but I'm actually at a point where I'm okay no matter what happens. Ooh, that's not a good place to be. Tell me why. Tell me why. I think I have an idea of why, but I want to hear from you. That's right. Nisha C said, don't forget to click the like button. Do that for me. Do that for me. John Parsons says, definitely need to take some deep shots, especially early. I think so too, John. I do. We need to take some deep shots. But if our ability to take the deep shots and connect on them is limited by a very good secondary, I think we need to be able to make those proper adjustments, because what we don't want to do is to get stuck in a rut to say for the first, 5 or 6 offensive plays, 2 of them are offensive drives, 2 or 3 of them we're going to take the deep shot. Well, what if it doesn't work? I want us to be able to make those in-game adjustments immediately. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Let's try to take the deep ball, but if it doesn't work, let's be ready with plan B. Nah, we cannot trade Mark. I'm with you, Denise. I mean, I'm not all that gung-ho on the possibility of trading Mark, but what I do want to see is Mark going to be able to round back into form? Is he? And if he is, let's keep him. Absolutely. Monken needs to use Likely and Andrews. The Bills don't have their starting corners. We can exploit the youth. We can try. We need to, I said already, we need to employ the 12 personnel. Use the 2 tight end sets. That's going to be key. That's going to be key for us. The key versus the Bills is to contain Allen in the pocket. If you can do that, you should be able to minimize his attack. Plus, remember, they love 12 personnel, so minimize Kincaid in the middle in the end zone. The problem I have, and that's a great point, but the problem I have is our secondary has been a little shaky to start the season. We've been a little shaky, and even our linebackers. So the middle of the field, deep into the end, deep zone, that has been a question mark for us. We haven't defended that well, especially against the pass. I think we're almost dead last in the league right now. But my thought is our strategy is to apply, because our defensive line is so impactful, because we are able to apply so much pressure, because we've been able to get after the quarterback. I think that's what we need to do. That's our strength right now. Our strength is our ability to get Josh Allen, make him uncomfortable, make him miserable, and then, hey, I think we can get him back to making those mistakes, throwing those interceptions. That's what I think the key is for us, because we are struggling in our secondary. Army Magic, good evening. Thanks for joining. No trading Mark. No, he'll be a critical piece in winning the Super Bowl in New Orleans this year. You do not discard your ace-type playmaker before you get the ring. Okay, there you have it. We cannot discard him. That's right. Okay. A couple of other ones, and we'll say goodnight. Good evening to you, Florence. Thank you for being here. A couple of score predictions, and then I'll give you mine, and then we'll go and watch football tonight. Jay the Six. Ooh, 28-21 Bills. Ooh, okay. Can't say that I'm mad at it. I can't. Aaron Butler, good evening. Ravens 31, Bills 17. Okay. I don't know, Aaron. Just because the Bills have been able to score so easily this year, I think it's going to be a little bit higher, but we'll see. Army Magic, 31-25. He's taking the Ravens. All right. Let's hear from Miss Fins. 21-20 Ravens. I think it could be a 3-point game or a 1-point game for sure. Ravens 38-27. Ooh, I like it, John. I like that one. I can see it. And Denise says this one is hard. Yeah, this one's hard to predict. I know. Now, Sean Coles, I don't know how we got to 20-40. They are able to score, so I'm going to give them that. I'm going to give them credit. Rye Bob, good evening. Bills 30, Ravens 21. Ooh. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm just going to say the Ravens are scoring more than 21 points in this game. I'm just going to believe that's going to happen. Rave Kingdom 36-30. All right. Thank you. Buy stocks. Thank you so much for subscribing and joining the family. Welcome. Thank you so much. And if you're in here, please drop your score prediction. Denise says 27, Bills 23. All right. When I see these low scores, that means the Ravens defense is going to have a phenomenal game. Lights out. They're coming and they're shutting down this high-powered offense. Lil Joker's taking the Ravens 21-17. Buy Stocks tells us that the Bills are going to win 31-24. Buy Stocks, I'm taking my Ravens. I am, and I do believe we're going to score more than 24 points. But thanks for sharing. Big Boy, Big Reg, host of Big Boy Talk. I have hope that if the Ravens lose, we can move on from John Harbaugh. I don't know, because that has to come from the owner. Bisciotti has to want to do that. I don't know that he wants to do that. I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm saying it right. Buy Stocks not going to hold the Bills under 30. All right, we can see. We'll see. I don't. Let me give you my score prediction. I agree with you. I don't think we're going to hold the Bills to under 30. But here's where I think reasonable minds can differ. I see the score 34-31 Ravens. That's it. Or, as I mentioned before, like Miss Finn's, a 1-point score, 31-30. I agree with you, Buy Stocks. We're not holding them to under 30, but we're going to be able to surpass them in points scored. That's where I am. Fresh Life, good evening. I hope you're well. They're going to run the ball because they're weaker at the run, taking shots when you have to. But they're weak at the run. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So we're, all of these things are pretty spot on. 50% chance of showers Sunday night. That's something that I wanted to thank you. I meant to bring that up. Ravens don't play particularly well in bad, inclement weather when it's raining. That's just not been our strong suit. So, that's going to be a lot. What position does Yannick play, and is he playing? I think we're bringing Yannick back to play strictly edge. I think that's what I would envision for him, to be strictly an edge rusher. Who wants to tackle Allen? Who wants to? And I guess my response to that is, who can tackle Lamar? Because that's what I have to always go back to, is that Lamar is just so elusive. And as you hear it every day from players alike who try to catch him, you just can't. So who wants to tackle Allen? Who can try their best to tackle Lamar? 86 Ghost, 32-23. And Fresh Life says Ravens by 10. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining. This was a lot of fun. I think the Ravens have a very good chance of coming out with the win at home. We need the home win. As I said earlier, we lost our home opener at the bank. This is the time, and I think we're going to do it. Like you said, buy stocks. Should be a great game either way. Absolutely will. Whew. I will see you all back very soon. After the game, you won't see me because that's going to be midnight, 12, 11:30, 12 o'clock, and that's past my bedtime. But I will be back to recap our victory. I'm speaking it, okay? I'll be back to recap our victory probably on Monday. Make sure your post notifications are turned on. Thank you again, Buy Stocks, for subscribing and joining the family. Take care of yourselves. Check on your family. Check on your friends who are in Florida. It's looking bad out there with this hurricane or this tropical storm, whatever it's called. But Helene, check on your people. Check on them. As someone who is from Florida, grew up with hurricanes, tropical storms and all of that, it's rough out there. Take care of yourself, Miss Fins. If you are I believe you are in Florida, take care, stay safe. You all, it's always a pleasure coming out here, talking with you and hearing what you have to say. Let's cheer our team on. We got it. That's all I'm going to say. Until next time, you take care and stay safe. And always remember, go Ravens. God bless.